Hey everyone, how y'all doing? My name is Mateo and I am from Maschine Masters. Today I'm going to discuss the importance of finding your mix balance in mono. Now, mixing in mono is a big part of how I mix. It's a big part of how I get my sounds and how I get everything leveled properly with all the frequencies and the dynamics. I'm going to show you why this works out and why I've stuck to this method of mixing for quite a long time now. So a couple benefits just right off the bat with mixing in mono is this will typically give you an indication of what you have in your mix that has frequencies that's clashing with other instruments or sounds. You'll notice usually by a dip in level or some sort of smearing of frequencies where you get some sort of masking between multiple instruments or sound sources. So I'm going to show you a tool that I use, which is free, that allows me to monitor in mono. Now, there's a lot of DAWs that come with some sort of mono monitoring plugin. The one that I use is called BX Solo, and it's made by Brainworks. And with this particular plugin, all I do is I bring this knob all the way down to 0, and it makes any signal running through it go into mono. And I leave it on bypass and then switch it on and off whenever I need it. And I have that on my master bus before my frequency analyzer, which is from Blue Cat Audio and is also free. And it's also before my metering plugin, which is also from Brainworks. Unfortunately, not free. Now, what I do with these three tools is I'm looking at how everything is balanced in regards to frequencies using the frequency analyzer. And I use the correlation meter over here to give me a visual representation of whether or not the phase correlation in my mix is good or not. Lastly, the most important tool that you have is your ears. So I know it's cheesy, but it's true. Something else that I'm going to add, some of you may have a mono option on your audio interface, and that's really great. If you don't, you can use this mono plugin over here. It's not specifically a mono plugin because it also allows you to increase stereo width, but you can use it as a mono function. Let's get into this mix. Today, I am working on a mix for a Maschine Masters community member who goes by Carnage The Producer. I would first off like to say that I appreciate that Carnage The Producer gave me stems for instruments that are meant to be in mono, actually in mono. So in many cases, I get stems from producers or artists where I've got a bunch of percussion instruments that are all in stereo, which is completely unnecessary. So I appreciate that these are in mono. Now, I've done a basic mix balance with no plugins or anything like that. I haven't done any panning yet, but I was just getting the balance of everything in mono, which is something that I like to do when I first start off with a song. Now, I've selected a 16 bar loop here where I'm going to toggle on and off the mono plugin, and we're going to listen for anything that sounds weird. So let's take a listen to this with everything in stereo. Cool. So we could actually see right here, the correlation meter was a little bit in this range over here. So it was giving me a visual indication that there is some sort of phasing going on, which in all reality, you're always going to have phasing in pretty much any song, no matter what you do. It's almost impossible to get perfect phase correlation unless everything is in mono and you've canceled out all the weird frequencies, but that almost never happens. So as long as you're in the positives, you're good, but it's always good to just make sure that there isn't too many weird frequencies. So I'm going to play this again, and I'm going to switch back and forth from mono to stereo, and we're going to see and hear that there's something going on that's a little weird. So let's play it back again. So immediately, well, not immediately, but like halfway through what I was just playing, when I turned on the mono function, we heard that something was going on that was kind of weird in that vocal sample. So I'm going to look for that vocal sample, and I already know which one it is. It's this one right here. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to turn on the mono as well. Sounds very weird when it's in mono. So clearly there's some sort of cancellation of the frequencies going on there. Like I said, it's normal for some sort of phasing issues in most stereo instruments or stereo samples, but this one seems quite significant. It's a drastic change between being in stereo and mono. My guess that there was some sort of stereo widening plugin used on this. I don't know for sure, but typically stereo widening plugins do introduce quite a bit of phasing. Usually in a world where music is not going to ever be played in a mono source, it's fine. However, nowadays, now that more people are using vinyl, releasing their albums on vinyl and stuff like that, phase correlation is extremely important. Another thing is, when it comes to listening to music off of phone speakers, which a lot of people do nowadays too, most phones do not have true stereo speakers in them. A lot of them are just mono. So your mixes are going to sound quite different on a phone speaker than it would on a proper speaker system. And some of you are like, I don't really care what my music's going to sound like on a phone speaker. But the reality is, most people listen to music nowadays on their phones, usually with earbuds, but sometimes they have it playing off the phone speaker. So it is a thing. And if you get any of your music placed on TV, mono compatibility is still really important with a lot of broadcasters. So think big, man. Get your music on TV, right? All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in to this tutorial from Maschine Masters. I appreciate you guys checking out our videos. If you had any questions about anything that we covered in this video, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you have suggestions for future videos, also leave that in the comment section below. As always, please like, share, and subscribe to Maschine Masters so we can continue to bring you more content. And if you're interested in having your song mixed and show up in one of these tutorials, reach out to Maschine Masters.